let's go. Let's start. Once again, every class, I'm going to start every class and say, oh, we had a really good class today, because that's how I start every class. I've been doing that for 37 years. Even when they're not a good class, for me, I think I have this idea that someone who's, whatever job you're doing, the goal in life, I think, at some level, is to fall in love with that job. And if you fall in love with the job, then every day you're going to do your absolute best. And you're going to feel good about it. And you're going to feel good about like what you're doing, and you're going to want to share it with other people and so on. And it doesn't really matter what it is, but you feel good about it. So for me, I think in teaching, I came alive in a classroom. I was reborn in a classroom, in a certain sense, and so every time I enter a classroom, that's just part of my reality and what I'm thinking about. And so, if every day I walk in thinking, oh my God, another opportunity for rebirth for me, not for you. Like, I'm not here for you. I mean, really, I'm here for me. And so, because I like to think out loud, and I like to hear what you have to say, and I have an opportunity to leave every day after class, to leave having changed something about the way I see the world and come to understand the world and get a little bit closer to truth, which is where I want to be on my deathbed. So be right there. You know what I mean? So when I go through the white light, I can say like, yeah, this is exactly what I was expecting. And so therefore, when I enter every class, I start class thinking, oh, this is going to be a great class. You might think completely differently, and that's awesome and fine. It doesn't really matter. But I start every class like that. So today's going to be an awesome class. We'd like to invite one more person up to volunteer. And here's what's happening today. Can you go to the slide? This class is called Why MLK Day. And I'd like to, what we would really like to have is anybody who likes to, hang on first, I need help. I need help today, right? So I'm going to talk to you. I need help, okay? I don't know. I'm going to talk about a lot of things, and I need three. I would like three people. No, I'm going to actually need other people to tell me what you're hearing and what you're thinking, and I want yes buts. I'm like, yes, but what about this? Or yes, but what about that? Or can you say more about this? Or hang on, I'm not so sure, I don't understand, or whatever the case is, okay? And I need that, right? Like, that's what I want. I don't know how to present this stuff in a way that would make sense to you all who didn't live through any of it and who mostly don't know anything. Even if you studied it, you mostly don't know you don't know very much, right? So that's your job today. So it's really nice. Be nice to have one more person who likes to not argue, but who's just one of those people who is just always saying like, oh man, hey, another, who just likes argue, but not argue. You know what I mean? You're just willing to say like, yeah, what about this or what about that? Or so just one more person. Who you could volunteer your friend, by the way, because you have those friends who are like really annoying. Wait, is she really annoying? Well, we don't. Hang on. We really need a white. We don't have a white guy. Or brown. No, we need a white guy up here. Dude, are you one of those guys? Okay, dude, you're up. Just have. Your hair's looking killer. Wait, hang on. Can you get his hair? Is his hair looking all right? Dude, look at the camera, right? Can you put him on yellow? Yeah, nice. Looks good. Can you fill out an attendance? So we'll start with Olivia here. Just say something about yourself.
Hi, my name's Olivia. I'm a sophomore. I'm from a suburb in South Jersey. My major is marketing. That's pretty much it.
Suburb of South Jersey.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Okay. Khalid.
Hi guys, my name is Khaled. I'm a senior majoring in mechanical engineering. I'm from the UAE. Yeah, pretty much it.
We're in Dubai or Abu Dhabi?
Neither.
Neither? Oh my God.
I usually say Dubai to avoid the hassle, but I'm from Ras Al Khaimah, which no one's gonna remember or recognize.
Okay, very cool. All right, man. Ian, you were supposed to be on last class, right? Am I right? No, you're not. Yeah, push that up. Yeah, no, it wasn't you. It was somebody else. All right, go ahead.
Flipping switches is harder than it looks, guys. Oh my God. Thirsty Thursday. I'm just here to send out good vibes. Representing the white male.
And
I'll
you
do
have-
my best.
Wait, what's the shirt you have on?
Oh, Yellowstone.
All right, okay, Yellowstone.
Yeah, if you ever get a
I thought it
chance.
was a Patriots sweatshirt. So
Get out to Yellowstone. Yeah, no, fuck the Patriots.
okay.
I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia, so go Birds, obviously, even though we're going to forget about what happened last week.
Yeah, wait. By the way, did Pittsburgh win? Everybody lost.
Nah,
lost.
yeah, nah.
Oh, man,
It
too
wasn't
bad.
good. It wasn't
All
good.
right. All right. So listen, y'all. So Ian, Khalid, Olivia. All right. So I'm gonna at different points turn to you and say, what are you thinking? What about this? What about that? Right? And what I want to get you all to. We're going to talk about the civil rights movement, okay? And we're going to talk about black people and white people, strictly black people and white people today, okay? And this is not a liberal class today. This is not going to be a liberal class. This isn't going to be a standard kind of, hey, let's look at the civil rights movement and let me tell you, I don't know, whatever. It's not going to be that. In fact, so you don't think liberal, think sociology. And think as we're going through this, I want you to just constantly don't think about whatever you think about, Black Lives Matter and black people and white people and the police and inequality, all the things we talk about. Just set that aside for a second. Just imagine that you are entering into this discourse for the first time. And I want to take you back to the time when I was born, really what I was born into, okay? So, but I'm going to first start with this slide right here. And I did this on an interest rate calculator earlier. You all can see it, right? We good? Basically. So what I did was I started with $1,000. And then I said, what would happen if I added $100 to this every month? And I calculated interest monthly. And I did that for 100 years at 6% interest. And that's what this line is, okay? Year 0, year 100, and this is what the red line is. And what I want you to notice, this is, by the way, the miracle of compound interest. So if you don't have retirement accounts, or if you haven't put any money away, even small, tiny amounts of money, could be $5 a week, whatever, in the market, this graph should encourage you to think about doing that. And you don't have to get risky, doesn't really matter. This is 6% interest over 100 years. Now, none of you are going to live to be 100 years, but, well, I don't know, maybe you will. Okay, but listen, look what happens. It goes along for about 40 years, and nothing happens. And now I want you to notice the numbers over here. So 535. We get to about 40 years, literally nothing happens. It's almost like a savings account. You know what I mean? You're kind of just putting money in a savings account, and you're stashing it away. But, hey, make sure, by the way, the attendance sheets, make sure they move along quickly, because we got to get through the whole class, and make sure that you have a pen out ahead of time. And if you need a pen, you all could put the pens with each of the sheets down here if you want. But just keep the attendance sheets moving. And remember, they don't cross over the stairs at all. Okay, so But then something starts to happen, and you're continuing to put just $100 a month. And then just look at when you start to get up here to 60 years, 70, 80, 90, 100. You're up into almost $9 million. $9 million. Because this is the miracle of compound interest, right? Didn't Einstein call it the 11th wonder of the world or something like that? I don't know. Okay? So maybe that was Uncle Phil or Dr. Phil or someone. Maybe it was me. But either way, this is the miracle of compound interest. Okay? Now, watch what happens if someone starts in year 0 and somebody else starts in year 60. And in year 60, they do the exact same thing. First off, notice, see the green line down here? Right at the bottom? That's actually your $100 added up with no interest whatsoever at the end of 100 years. So it's $1,200 times 100. Okay? But now watch what happens if someone starts at year 60. And look, I drew this line in, but it's going to basically kind of look like that. And so you think like, wow, if you get a head start. See, everybody who does investing tells college students like you all, start investing now. Because that's what this is. Even if it's $5 a month, it doesn't matter. Okay, y'all, you got that? This is the miracle of it. So look what happens to these people who get a head start. You blow it out of the water. You're like, oh my God. We're there, right? So team, you see this, right? We're good? Any questions? It's standard. This standard investment stuff, right? Okay? Now, go to the next slide. Now, I want to look at household wealth. And when we look at household wealth, what we're looking at is, you take all of your assets and you subtract your debt. An asset would be the amount of money you have, for example, in your house, and the debt would be the amount of the percentage of your house that the bank owns still, right? Because if you have a mortgage. And so you might live in $1 million house, but maybe you only put $50,000 into that house, and so you're not a millionaire. You're not a $1 million homeowner. You're a $950,000 homeowner because the bank owns $950,000 of it, not you. Okay, so look at this is everything we owned. The blue is 1983, so this is past change in household wealth, right? This is median household wealth for all white people put together. We add up all their assets and we subtract their debts, and then we look at what it is, and it's about $350,000 in 1983, and it goes up in 2013 to about $650,000. And then look at black people in 1983, comparatively speaking, and then look at black people, comparatively speaking, in 2013. It's like, So what happened to black people? This is my question, right? What happened with black people? Right? Why is it so disproportionate? What's the issue here? Okay? This is my question. And so we started with the other slide. And so that's a clue into something of where we're going here, right? But let's go to so we're going to say like, well, is it going to stay like this? Or, because, slavery's over and civil rights happened and we had a half-black president, and all sorts of things, right? And then we had Donald Trump, who by his own admission loves black people. And so black people should be in a very different place. So like, how's it going to go moving forward? Because now, especially, we have all this multiculturalism, and we have all these programs that are supporting black entrepreneurs and black this and black that, and black people on television and black people in the cinema, and oh my God, it's just like everywhere you turn, it's like it's more and more about black people. And so the question is like, okay, where's it going to go now? Because things are changing, right? So we'll go to the next slide. So here's 2013. Okay, so go back. This is so right here, the white one, right here, about $650,000 in 2013. Go ahead. I shifted it. So that's the white one in 2013. And then 2043, the estimates as to where black people are going to be in, or white people are going to be in 2043, median household income, okay, median household wealth, and look at white people. It's like over $1.2 million on average. This is serious, not on average, it's the median, okay? It's a lot of money. Look at black people. 2013, so go back one. So this number this right here, which is almost $100,000, go forward. Then we say, oh, that's this one. And then where are black people going to be in 2043 on average? Right here. They'll do a little bit better. Nothing compared to white people. And I think, how is that? You know what I mean? Like, so maybe, is it, what's going on? Is it when I'm speaking to the class? Like, say right now, people like me have talked and said, hey, you got to invest early. But, you know, I don't know, black people in the class, you all are busy doodling or something. You're not listening to me. Or maybe because, you know, I'm a white guy, so you don't trust me. So, you know, you don't follow what I'm doing. But all the white people are like, oh, he's like a white brother, so I'm going to follow this guy and I'm going to invest early or something. Is that is that it? Or is this something, what's going on that this number, that it just keeps, it's like this. What's happening? Okay? So, do you all have any, at this point, do you have any questions at all? What do you got? Go ahead, man.
So
So the question would be like, what's coming up for you, and what are you thinking about?
what I'm thinking about, my initial thought was, is there a systematic barrier to black people investing, or is it from the black community themselves, the mistrust in the government and putting their money in a stock market in the government?
Okay, yeah, all right, I'm really glad you asked that, because these numbers aren't just investment. These aren't just investment numbers. This is everything. This is home ownership. It's automobiles. You know, we generally don't consider it like secondhand cars, but maybe you own a really nice mobile home or a second home, or like certain things that are large perishable goods. That's what goes into this, okay? So it's not just that. It's actually just acquiring wealth. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. Anybody else have any question that comes up? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So we're relating the two bar graphs to the first line graph. Are they proportional then? Because we saw you were saying that it starts really slow and then it starts to jump more.
Yeah.
And if you look at it this way, it's the same, right?
Yeah, it's not exactly the same, but it's how things work, right? Like, for example, my wife and I bought a home back in 1996 in town. And the home at that point was worth $134,000. And we couldn't afford really much more. We probably could have afforded it, but we're both really careful about, we don't want to be in debt. We're working class, man. Working class, my peeps out there. You don't take a lot of risks. You just want to make sure I have my beer money at the end of the month and, that sort of thing. Okay? But had we took a risk, had we had more money to put down and took a risk, and back then bought a $350,000 home, so our home now is worth maybe $400,000 or something, because in this town, it went up. But if we'd have bought a home that was twice that, our home would be worth $800,000 or $850,000, because we would have bought a bigger home, and so it's like it keeps going up exponentially. Your wealth accumulates exponentially if you're really acquiring it, right? So that's why that first graph matters. Ian, do you have anything?
I feel like I'm kind of already onto you. I feel like I've already cracked the case, but I don't want to spoil anything yet. So I'm just ask, do you think this major gap / inequality stems from slavery?
Dude, well, let me ask you, what do you think?
I think there's this is a hodgepodge mega issue where there's so many things that goes into this. But I would say if you had to pick something that was the biggest contributor, I would definitely say it stems from the systematic inequality that comes from slavery. Sorry if that's a lot to follow, but I feel like I'm just going.
No, listen. No, I think it starts right. It starts anywhere, right? I mean, look, here. If I, it's like, what's slavery, right? Slavery is basically saying, hey, I'm going to start a race, and bro, can you just stand up really fast? You're going to be the standard. Just stand right here. So imagine he's the person. We're in slavery time, right? You're enslaved. I'm like putting a chain on you, okay? And he's standing here, and I'm running my race. I'm doing my thing. I'm not running a race, but I'm like, I'm doing my thing. You're not. You're back there. I'm accumulating wealth, right? And then, but I'm accumulating, but he's not really. Then I say, okay, we're going to remove the chains. We're going to let him take a step. But now we're going to pass all these laws to ensure that he doesn't take more than about one step. Meanwhile, I'm just continuing along on my merry way, and then may take another half step, and then, okay, we're going to pass some other laws, because okay, but he's not going to compete with me. And 100 years are going to go by before he ever is able to really kind of compete with me. You see what I mean? And so but then we can't look at him and say, hey, well, dude, what's wrong with you? Why don't you catch up with me? What's wrong? You should have caught up. And so, and then this is the kind of thing that we do. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Okay, so you're right in that sense, very much. I mean, it starts right there. But let's look at some other stuff, okay? Because I want to look at the civil rights movement. So 1959. So actually, can you just darken the screen a second? Let me just say this to you all. Dude, y'all, I'm not in spite of what some people may want to think, I'm not a leftist apologist for people. Okay, I'm not a leftist apologist for poor people, underrepresented people, whatever. I'm really not. But I am a sociologist, and I do really want to try to understand what's going on. Okay, and so I look at slavery, and I say, okay, so we have slavery. We got 300 some odd years, basically less than 300 years, but you might as well say 300 years, and I think slavery was over. I studied what happened in the United States after slavery. So you can't take my word for this, okay? Don't take my word. Do not take my word for it. Really, you have to really be responsible thinkers, and you have to search some of this on your own. But what I'm going to say, and I'll just say it to you all, is things didn't change very quickly. And in many ways, for those who study it, and I used to use, when I taught the 400 level, African American Studies, it's called 409, Race and Ethnic Inequality. And I taught that for many years. And one of the books that I used very often was called Not Slave, Not Free. It was just this analysis, really thoughtful analysis about you weren't a slave anymore, but you weren't really free. And remember when I had him stand up and I said, okay, now you can start moving on the ladder to upward mobility, right? Because you're not a slave anymore, but you can only move one foot. You can't run up there and compete. You're not going to compete with me. I mean, listen, it's like Americans, you enslaved a population of people based on their physical appearance. The idea was these people, i.e. people of African ancestry, this population of human beings, were closer to apes and animals than they were to human beings. Was a very important thread in the ideology that justified slavery. It has to. It has to. You cannot enslave somebody, right? You cannot enslave someone if you don't dehumanize them. And the moment the Civil War is over and we pass the law that okay, slaves are free, it doesn't make them free. They're only free if there are laws that actually allow them to do to exercise their freedom. You're not free. The police, everything was rooted in white supremacy, largely even in the North. So you don't just what do you think black people are oh, damn, man, sorry about that. Oh, shit. Ah, yeah, sorry about that. All those just all the horrible, horrible things y'all went through. Come on, give me a hug, man. We're all good. Like, it's not going to happen. It never happens like that. How many times do you get in a heated argument with someone in your family or your friends or whatever, and as soon as it's over, you're just like, oh, okay, cool, man. Yeah, share the love. It's all good. No, you like, maybe you do like, all right, good, man. Yeah, but it's still, when you're walking away, you're still like, yeah, but fuck you anyway, man. You're not, it's like, years, okay? So, we're still living in this space of what would be white supremacy. This is that word, and it's a hot button issue. So Fox News is gonna, wait, where am I? Am I on here? So Fox News, if you're gonna take this video, I just said white supremacy. Oh my God, an era of white supremacy. So there's the liberal, radical sociologist, Sam Richards, at it again, indoctrinizing his class with white supremacy. And I would say, it's not all white supremacy, but white supremacy is a thread that's right in there. You just look at the history. Okay, so now, let's show you this. Did I say anything that you all have a question about? Are we okay? You good? See, this will be awesome. If they don't have anything to add to today's class, that will mean that I've really, if I'm speaking to the three of you, that means I'm speaking to you all, which is awesome, and that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, let's put this up. So poverty rate, 1959, black people under the age of 18, 66% of black Americans under the age of 18 were living in what the federal government, whatever they defined it as, the poverty line. 66%. Like, oh, man, my God. And 21% for white people under the age of 18. And now that just gives you a sense of like, oh, okay. So we go back to this guy right here who breaks the chains of slavery. Well, first off, I don't know. See, I study modern day slavery. Okay, I can't go back into slavery in the U.S., but I do study modern day slavery. And I've been to sweatshop areas and other areas where slaves are basically working, and in mining and so on in South America. And I will tell you that I've never met a slave that was lazy, man. So we can't turn around and be like to this guy, oh, you should have just been harder working. It's like, this is the nature. You're hard working. You're work. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay. So you say, oh, they're all living in poverty. Oh, they must be just sitting around doing nothing. Seriously? See, somebody would say that who's never read the history of everything that happened between 1865, let's say in 1959 or 1960. But let's go to the next one. Median family income. So black median family income was, in 1959, was 55% of white families. Okay, then we have, we're in the middle of the civil rights movement. And, people are, there's people, MLK, it's not just MLK. We always say, oh, MLK. But it's like, the civil rights movement, it's like hundreds of thousands of human beings, and not just black people, right? And then, but in 1981, only 50% of white families. Like, wait, hang on. There's, 22 years here. What happened? Like, like, what happened? Why are y'all so poor still? Like, what happened? And this is the question we want to ask. Like, I don't know. Do you have any thought? Like, what questions come to mind? Like, why are black people still so poor? Like, what would you be thinking?
My first question is the same thing. It's like, well, why?
No, hang on. Why? Right? Why? Got it. Do you have an answer for that?
I keep thinking about that first graph that we showed. So like, it makes sense that if you start after, so like that red line, I think was like, it started at year 0, and it was like skyrocketed by the time the blue line had started. So that makes sense, like why it would be there. But that's if they're the exact same rate. and like you when you were walking by, it's like, oh yeah, the white man just like
Yeah.
doing his thing. Like I have no real rush. I'm living life. If like in this situation, black people then like, I mean, once everything like was fully finalized, which we said took like years
Okay.
and years and years,
Uh-huh.
why was the rate still like the same? Like why didn't the rate like skyrocket? That's my
Yeah.
thought, because like,
Yeah.
and you just said that they have like, they have good work ethic. So like, what was still stopping like that just boom, then
Yeah.
like the chugging along kind of thing?
Yeah, this is what's really important. You got to understand. There's no difference in work ethic by culture or race. Not in the United States. It's just not. It's not about that, right? So it's not about that, right? So there's something else, right? So but the question is why? And so, hey Joy, can you bring me one of the microphones? And so the issue is why, and why is what I would say to you all, what I want to say to you, Olivia, is hundreds and hundreds of books have been written to try to answer the question why. And not just books by, bleeding heart liberals who just want to show white people how evil they are, kind of stuff like that. Not that. Just books of people who, are really kind of like me. Just really want to understand what happened, like what went on. So that's it. So that's a really awesome question. Anybody else? Khaled, Ian?
I kind of got a weird ass question. So we say slavery is like you work without being paid, so it's like zero payment. But do you think for modern slavery we could kind of change that definition to say it's not necessarily you don't make any money, but you just make so little money to where you'll do desperate things or maybe like commit crimes, and then I guess if you have to do that to live, like you're constantly committing crimes, like then eventually you'll get caught up, thrown in jail, and then bang, it's like the same thing.
Okay, so here's what I would say to that. So in terms of just straight up slavery, meaning slavery is literally you're working for no pay or threat of some physical violence, okay? And that's the definition of slavery. So in slavery today, there's, it's going to be some like 30 to 40 million slaves in the world today, okay? More than at any point in human history. On top of that, there are people who are in sweatshop type conditions, either like indoors or agricultural sweatshop type conditions, where you got tens of, or maybe hundreds of millions of people who are working in such horrible conditions for such little pay that literally they're just people just trying to hang on. And that may as well be called some kind of type of slavery, but it's not slavery. Slavery is its own unique thing, but that's a really good question. Yes?
Hello? Oh, I didn't have a why. I mean, I didn't have a question. Like, I had, like, an answer to the why, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I heard, like, a lot of the conversation, but, like, you can't expect it to happen overnight because clearly it was going on for years. So, therefore, a 20-year difference is not going to change anything.
Yeah.
So,
No, 20 years.
I mean, like,
this is the point.
these little time frames or whatever, it's not going to happen just because, hey, you said this is now that you can't change. Like now, today, you're not changing no one's mindset. So therefore, that's what's keeping people down because of the mindset of the ones who created the rules and who created the laws and everything.
Yeah.
So therefore, just because someone said it doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight or it's going to happen automatically.
So like, for example, someone says, hey, we don't have slavery anymore. Like this particular population of people are no longer slaves, they're free. And so therefore, we're going to rebuild a new society, right? That's not going to happen overnight.
No.
Yeah, it absolutely. And this is in many ways the entire point of today's class, because the idea is, wait, but it was over then. What's the problem now, right? Or we had the Civil Rights Movement. We signed the Civil Rights Act in 1968. Like, what about now? And so the idea is people nonetheless always have this sense that it should be happening. And the argument is kind of like, if we go back to the very first slide, that, well, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, we've changed it. Now we're going to let these other people start investing their $100 a month at year 60, but they're never going to catch up. Like, they can't. That's just the nature of it, you know? And okay, so, yeah, I like that. Okay, go to the next slide. Median family income. When two parents worked, so here, there was a very viable, thriving, even during slavery, even in the North, there was a viable a middle class, like black, man, a really solid, you can't, do not look back. This is what makes in some ways it really egregious, is because you don't look back and think, oh, every black person was dirt poor, you know, eating rats and like, God, I don't know. Like, no, there was such self-educated black schools. White people wouldn't build schools. Black people built schools. Black people built universities, black banks, black stores, black this, black that. It's like, so like, ow, right? And so now the median family income when two parents work, look, they're very similar, right? So black family income is 74% as large as white earnings. This should be black median family income, by the way. In 1981, it was 84% as large as white earnings. Meaning that when two people have viable jobs and they're working, things are going well. You know, okay, they're still behind white people, but you know, your income, this isn't wealth, this is income. And so like, okay, so I just want to show you that. Okay, go to the next one. Black men, so in 1960, there were 5.6 million black men in the United States. 5.6 million. And then, you know, throughout the 60s, you know, we had the 50s, we had the 60s. In 1968, we signed civil rights legislation, and all sorts of things began happening. And now, in 1982, we have 10.7 million black men. But employed black men, so that, you know, we have an increase of 5 million black men. But the employed black men between 1960 and 1982 didn't go up proportionately. So it's like, whoa, wait, what? Now you got to say, so do you have a question about that? That's a pretty revealing slide right there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, why? Again, is the question why? Especially because, like, things like laws and stuff were, like, going away, and they were, like, you know, I don't know, that, like, what? That's really surprising, because, like, it went from, like, if you look at the percentages of it, 4.1 million to 5.1 million is a lot closer, and then 10.7 and 5.9 is, like, half. Like, what?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's yep. I mean, it makes me say, look, first off, I just want to say something, right? That's actually kind of a thing here, right? Quite a number of years ago, we do studies about people working and work ethic and so on and so forth, right? And in blame, and I want to say this right here. This is a really nice place to say this. A big question we have is blame, right? When something happens that's really bad in your life, who do you blame for it? Yeah, I mean, you know, like, do you blame other people or do you blame yourself, right? And so we always want to know, like, okay, who's more likely to blame themselves? Who's more likely to blame other people, the system, this, that, the other thing, right? Like, who really is? Well, I can tell you, sociologists, we study this because we want to know, right? Like, so I want to know, like, white men, like, what do white men say, and upper middle class white men or poor white men, and Arabs, what do Arabs say? Or Khaliji Arabs versus North African Arabs, and what do we, like, you know, white women say, and like, we, you know, so we want to know, like, who do you blame? And so, the one thing I remember a long time ago, really digging into this and reading that, really stuck with me, and that in this very well done survey, asking people, and the group that was most likely to blame themselves when things went wrong for them in the United States was black men. And so the idea is like, this is so ironic, right? Because white people, as a way for white people to, and I will say white, not just white people, because it's other people as well, right? But as a way for, including many black people, Africans, for example, right? Because Africans are, you know, kind of often see African Americans as rather sketchy and so on. And so, like, but people are this way, it's like you can justify certain things by just thinking that people are screwing up and they're blaming the system. And I was thinking, like, well, yeah, but that's only because every time you put a mic in front of some black person and you bring them on some television show, and we say, like, hey, tell us about racism. Well, they're going to talk about racism. And so every time you hear a black person talking, on whatever media it is, they're talking about the thing that you're really asking them about, which would be like racism. Arabs, tell us about violence in the Arab community, right? Like, dude, tell us about all the violence in the Middle East, right? Go ahead, tell us all about that, because, you're from the Middle East, you know about that. It's like, well, he's going to talk about violence in the Middle East, but what he's not going to talk about is all the nonviolence in the Middle East. You know what I mean? You go all through the Middle East, and there's no violence whatsoever. So, like, what you don't get is, like, let's say in the black community, the most conservative place in the United States, the most conservative space in the United States is an average black African-American church on a Sunday morning, where the sermon is so conservative and so, like, don't blame me, don't blame the white man, don't blame the system, da 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 da. If you screw up, it's your fault. It's just, I've sat in black churches sometimes and gone like, damn, that's like a little bit stretching responsibility there, isn't it, minister? It's like there is racism and there is discrimination and there is a system, but like, damn, the message is just like, boom, blame yourself. It's you. It's all about you. And so then, I remember digging into this and seeing all of this, like, yeah, black man, oh, God. Okay. So, what I'm saying, by the way, I'm just walking you through the things I've discovered. Okay, really, honestly, the world, and what you need to remember is, the world is never what we think it is. You know what I mean? Like, for example, bro, first time I was in the Gulf, I went to Qatar, right? And everyone who knew I was going to Qatar was telling me, hey, man, be careful. You sure you're going to be safe over there? And I'm like, dude, it's Qatar. You know what I mean? The fuck? And then I went to Dubai, same thing, right? I mean, Dubai, I've been to Dubai many times, right? It's like, oh, you're going to be safe? You've been to Dubai? Yeah. Oh my, I mean, it's like, it's that level of insanity. The world is not what you think it is. It never is. And so, like, okay, so there it is. Now we look at this, and I think, what's going on with black men? What's going on? They're not sitting around drinking 40s and just, like, not wanting to work. What's going on? I'm speaking as a sociologist. Like, what's happening? And so these are the questions that I'm asking. Like, what's going on? And I'm not the liberal guy going, oh, poor black people. Oh, white people are really racist and the white supremacy and the system. And, like, it's not about that for me. I really want to know, because there are some black people that are lazy, they don't want to work, just like there's some Mexicans. Mostly not here, because lazy Mexicans are back in Mexico. They're not going to come up here. You know what I mean? Unless they do it with visas and on an airplane, and they get up here, and then they're like students, and they sit in their dormitories playing video games all day. Dude, if you go out of your way to go to another country and do it, you're not the lazy one. You're the hard-working one. And so, like, I think, okay, well, that's true for this community. Huh. Do you have anything?
Yeah, just a series of questions for historical context.
Okay.
Between 1960 and 1982, what did black men do for a living exactly?
Next. What did everything? Yeah, everything. Black men the idea was the economy was starting to open up.
Without being employed.
Yeah, what were they doing without being employed? Yeah. This is the problem. Being arrested. And the drug war was starting to take off. The drug war expanded. The prison industry started to really blow up. There are all sorts of things, right? And then they just relied on whatever they could rely on. Like this is when like a secondary economy really emerged in the United States. So people are working in the other economy. So it's not like people weren't employed. They were employed, but they're employed in the secondary economy, not in the official economy, right? So like, yeah, all sorts of things. I mean, everyone's getting on. It's the same thing today, right? It's like, you think about in Egypt, where the unemployment rate today is like, I don't know, what is it, like 40%? 50% really. If we include underemployment, it's probably more like 50%. So then the question is like, well, what is everybody doing? Well, yeah, they're surviving, man. People are surviving. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about like in 1982, why that number of employed black men like probably decreases. Like that was the spark of the crime war. So basically, like crack, crack
hang
hit the
on one second.
neighborhoods.
Hey,
Crack
can you
hit
put yellow on the screen in the back, please? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, crack
Don't
hit.
go too far because we're going to come back to
Yeah.
this. So just say it quickly.
Yeah, crack hit the black neighborhoods.
Yep.
And like I would say like you could have turned away from it and say no, but like you have to think like a lot of people are having an opportunity to make quick money and like you want to provide for your family, so you have to think of that in terms of like men making money, and then like most of these men's like these neighborhoods were getting raided, so
Yeah.
men were like losing. Obviously you wouldn't be working in jail, so it's like the numbers are decreasing, so that's why the employment for black men might have declined.
Yep, that's one. And then the whole neighborhood's transition, right? It's
And
white flight.
gentrification as well.
If you go you think about that yeah, this is good. We're going to come back to this. Thanks. What's your name, by the way? Brandy. Okay. Wait, Brandy with a B? Randy with an R? All right. So if you go back to that graph with it, where it went really high up, the 100-year graph, all that money is also just going out to the suburbs and the cities now. Where now, the black and brown population has really gone into the cities, but there's no base upon which the cities can really thrive, because all the money now went out to the burbs, just as it is today. Like you're in the burbs, right? You get it? Like you see how it is. Like that's the nature of it. Okay. Here, let's go to can we go to the next slide? Not the next one, but yeah. Okay, here. So I want to show you, I want to walk you through a few things here, okay? So first off, this is the day of pilgrimage in 1955. You understand, do you guys know about Jim Crow? Can you just say something about Jim Crow, what it was? Like,
Yeah, they enacted some laws that were pretty fucked up. That was kind of the response to black people getting their freedoms. Like, oh, you guys are free? Psych, dickhead, you ain't free. But
yeah, like what? Like everything, right? Everything. It really is like a psych. You're not. You think you're free, but you're not free. So Jim Crow is a way to say, hey, we're going to separate people. We're going to make sure that no matter what happens, you're not going to get the same opportunities. So you're going to go to different schools, this, different that. It's just the nature of things. Separate drinking fountains, separate, ride in the back of the bus. It's not just riding on the back of the bus. It's like you're not going to have a job. You're not going to get the union jobs. You're going to get a job here. You're not going to get a job there. You're just not going to. White people, it's just not going to happen that way. And so black people started to come together to say, we need to start demanding our rights. And look, see these gentlemen right here, 55? They're not dressed. They're not right off the field, out of the fields. These are distinguished, educated human beings that are walking down the street saying, please, we want our rights. We demand our rights. This is the United States of America. That's what the civil rights movement was. Just give us the same, we don't want special rights, we just want the rights that everybody else has. And it's the brilliance of it. And then the next slide. Here's another protest in Mississippi. Look at this. See who these men and women and children were. They're really just saying, like, come on. You got all these years of these just really dastardly, just deep inequality, unfairness, which is so unfair for, you just don't understand the nature of how deep these divisions were. And they're saying, no, please give it to us. That's what it was, years and years and years of mobilizing and marches and one thing after another. Okay, next one. This is in Chicago. And there are a lot of white people in this crowd also. It's like, it wasn't just in the South, it's in the North. It's like, just saying, come on, let's go. And remember the numbers that I put up? See, they're living these numbers. And they're saying, this is like 62 out of 3 black children under the age of 18 is living in poverty. This is not acceptable. So they march. Okay, next one. And it's not just black people, but white people and brown people, Asian people, Latino people, Hispanics, but mostly Mexicans if they were Hispanic, but mostly black and white. Mostly black, really led by people who were black. And go to the next one. And so here's a response, right? This was the March to Selma. That's John Lewis, by the way, who's getting the shit kicked out of him. You know, white people could have just said, all right, man, all y'all marching, you're finally coming together. Okay, here you go, right? But man, not in every single instance. But people responded with a brutality. He was like a young, at that time he's a young, very like smart, very distinguished college student who had, I think he had just graduated at that time, right? And they're just walking to ask for voting rights. Just voting rights, just let us vote. And this was the way we responded. It's like, oh, God. So do you think, okay, go ahead, next one. Right? Just, they weren't violent. They're just, we just want rights. Rights. And you think about the inequality, money-wise and so on, you say, they're just asking for that. Go to the next one. Here we got the dog here on this guy. It's just like, I mean, I could show lots of photos, and I can also show lots of photos where the police weren't doing that. The police were just there being intimidating. But it's like, y'all like, wait, so, white people didn't just sit back and say what Ian said. No, but the opposite of what you said. You know what? God, this isn't a very Christian way of building a nation. We were wrong. Here you go. It didn't happen that way. So you wonder, why Martin Luther King, y'all, right? Why the civil rights movement? Why do we acknowledge this person on this day? Because this is a wound in the United States that really has never had the opportunity to fully heal. It did heal a great deal, right? This is not happening in this same way at all. So go to the next one. And here's a response, 1957. Look at the sign. These are white people. This is a response by white people. They weren't just calling the police out. White people were saying, you will not go to our schools. You will not ride on our buses. You will not be part of my world. It's like, white people, not only did they reject it, they responded violently against it. Like, violently. It's like, God, we could have just said, okay. And so this is this thing here where we say, and through all of this, somehow, I want to go back. I want to show you this for a second. Here, watch this. Right? Bro, stand up again. So what's your name, by the way? Mike? So here's Mike. So remember who Mike is. So Mike's like the guy that started in slavery, and then he goes through Jim Crow, and now he's moved a couple steps, right? But now I want to come up to 1980, 1990, 2020. Somehow stop right there. So Mike's gone a few more steps in terms of his wealth and so on. But like somehow he's supposed to have really caught up with us. Not all white people, by the way, right? It's like, but he hasn't, and he can't. Like he's still, it's just like, some people have. There are black people in this room who are, thanks bro, sorry man, I'm just using it as a prop, but understand, this stuff's count. There are black people in this room who are far wealthier than many white people in this room. Okay? You get that. So do not think that black people in America, those are medians. People are all poor. It's like, and white people are all rich. That's not the case. So just understand, we're looking at these numbers. Okay, let me show you a couple more. Here's another one. We want a white school. It was like, yeah, no, you're not going to be part of this. You're not going to be part of our world. You're not going to be part of that. No. Don't. No, you're not part of this. Confederate flags everywhere. Confederate flags in the north, Confederate flags in the south. You know, you get it, right? You see it? Like, do you have any questions about this stuff? Yeah.
I see where this is going, but today we see black-only churches and white-only churches. Why isn't this topic controversial or looked down upon? If these people wanted all-white schools and to go to schools with the same people as their skin color, then today we have black churches and white churches, black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods. Why isn't this thing looked down upon?
Yeah, because it's not legalized, right? Because it's not legal. Because, you know, there are cultural things, right? You know, you have black churches, the whole black church movement, they're cultural things, but it's not legal. You know, any black person or brown person or white person could go to any place like that, and if you're kicked out, it's going to be a big, huge issue. So this is why it's like, okay, it's all good.
Yeah, but doesn't keeping this system the way this system works, doesn't keeping it work against the goal of objective equality, like everyone being equal?
Good question. Maybe, but maybe also it's just that it's okay. You know, it's just like you can't. People are drawn to other people with whom they share something with culturally. Like, you know, you come over here and you probably hang out with other Emiratis or Haliji students or something, right?
Which could be black or white.
Could be black or white. Yeah, and you could say like, and we could say, yeah, you don't really want to do that all the time because, you know, you want to meet some Americans, like, or maybe somebody from Argentina or China or wherever. But, you know, but it's still, you're going to do that. And so that's kind of where we are today in the world. Yeah, that's a really good question.
I was like looking at a lot of the pictures that are up, especially the first couple that you were with, like that was protests and stuff. I was thinking like if they were in color, like easily could have been confused with stuff that you've seen today with other protests like the Black Lives Matter movements and other like those things. But then these photos that are more recent, like, I mean, maybe it's just that I haven't seen them, but I don't think that they're.
This isn't more. This is like this particular photo. I think is 1960 or 64.
I was like recognizing that there's similarities and that there's still like people fighting for the like for Black Lives Matter and that kind of stuff, but I don't think that there's as much. I mean, there's definitely still people that like have the Confederate flag up for sure, but it's not like as 50-50.
Agreed.
And I want to know like why, because I feel like we've changed a lot since the 60s, but like why is it still the same thing?
This is awesome.
And then also to expand on what Khalid? Yeah, okay, I tried.
Khalid.
What he was saying, where we've seen like a lot more recently too, where you said it before too, with like black-owned businesses, or even like when I was applying for colleges, there are like colleges that specifically market themselves as like predominantly black or any other race or anything, and it makes sense, but it also like I feel like it's more separation, and I agree that we should like be uplifting and all of that. It's just
Okay, let me respond to this. We're going to come back later in the semester. I'm just going to say this quickly. There's actually a surprising, we still have some separation, but not in the way that it was, okay? This is what's really important, not in the way that it was, okay? And mostly the separation now it's just more complex, right? We'll come back to it because I want to understand that too. Let me show you. Can you go ahead? I just want really quickly. And by the way, these are the Black Panthers. The Black Panther Party was a movement of black people who started to be like, go back one. As white people are responding like this, or go back one more. White people are responding like this, go forward two now. Then you have a lot of young black men are going like, oh no, we're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to police ourselves. We're going to start our own schools. We're going to start our daycare centers. We're going to start restaurants. We're going to have homeless shelters. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then why wouldn't you do that? Bro, would you would do that, right? I mean, if the whole world was shitting on your family and your people, you might come together with other young white guys and be like, hey, we got to band together here and like look out for ourselves, man. Right? Would you do that?
Yeah, I'd fuck y'all up.
Yeah, okay, exactly, man. So you fuck. All right, go to the next one. Look at this right here. I just want to show you this in the United States. 1959, do you approve or disapprove of marriage between whites and blacks? So this is kind of responding to you. 1959, 4%. 2013, 87%. People were not like wanting to get along. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like oh yeah, okay, we got this. No, you see, like we're not going to let you get along. Next one. So now we have a black man, African American man, half anyway, in the White House. That's why, do y'all understand how far we've come? You know what I mean? Go back one slide. We go from here to a man, next one, whose parents, white and black, did come together, and he was born. And like this is the United States, right? We go from slavery and Jim Crow and one thing after another. Like here we are. This is amazing how far we've come. And in this sense. But let me show you one final thing. Remember this? But we still got all this intergenerational wealth that is mostly in the hands of white people. And we're gonna work that out a little bit. Okay, you got it? Joy, you got it? Hey, dudes, you were awesome, thanks, awesome. Hey, don't leave, we have another announcement. Can you give a hand to these three folks? Good.